Hey there, thanks for joining me again. It's Lokazi. Here I have another game, Terran vs. Terran. This is one I was talking about last game in the previous shoutcast that I was saying red Terran versus blue Terran, blistering sands, Banshee harassment. Same situation. That one wasn't Banshee harassment, that one was actually a 5 Marauder, 2 Marine push on another Terran after scouting 111. This one I believe is actually Banshee harassment. And you can see why I was confused because I was the red Terran in the bottom left both times versus blue Terran in the top right both times on blistering sands. Not exactly the most common thing, and I played these on the same day. So, last week, or a week and a half ago when I recorded this, or played this game, I guess, so many Terran vs. Terran games. Day 9 had a little blurb about how OP Banshees are, and etc., etc., and this was the result. A billion Terran vs. Terran games with Banshees. Now, I know he's Terran this time, so I'm just going to build my buildings here close to the front, because if someone 5 Marauder pushes you, like he scouts me, he sees I'm going Banshees, and a 5 Marauder pushes me, I don't want him to be able to take out my supply depots from outside of the range of my Marines at the front of my base, and then supply block me, which leads to more issues, which lets him get a bigger army than me, which then lets him win fairly easily. Now I've supply blocked myself here for a second. Not exactly the best move. Life goes on. Throwing down a barracks here at 12, just to get out a Marine very fast, to try and guard the front, to try and prevent as much scouting as possible, but that's not going to work out. He scouted me right away with the SCV that finished. Actually, I believe the SCV before he finished his supply depot, he sent it across. And he's scouting me. He's seeing everything I have. He sees no gas going up. He sees kind of a early barracks, and that was to make up for me being supply blocked. But I'm at 13, 14 now. Supply, building my 14th. So is he. He's harassing my SCV in here. I believe he's going to pick it off, because I noticed it a little bit late. Oh, he's coming back. Yeah, he's going to get it. And I think he's going to get away too. So he wins the first little battle, but I think I win the war on this one, if it's the replay I remember. I just went back through saved games and I saw Terran vs. Terran on this map, so I clicked it. So, well, I'm kind of as in the dark as you are. Throwing out my orbital here at 14. Ooh, got some computer lag there. Computer does not like orbital commands, apparently, when I'm compressing videos in the background. My apologies. He is at 15 SCVs, and he has not thrown up his orbital yet. Let's see if he's going to in just a second. I believe he does. Yeah, there he goes. He's throwing up his orbital. His first Marine is finished. My first Marine is finished. Same spot. My orbital's a little bit ahead of him, but he has one more SCV than me. So I'm throwing down a second refinery, and if you were a Terran player scouting another Terran player, and you saw a second refinery, you would know it was either straight to siege tanks for an early defense / expand, you know, putting siege tanks on this hill right here, trying to get as much damage on incoming units and blocking them off right there with your bio ball. So you know it's either that, or you know that they're going for Banshees. And going for Banshees, you need to prepare and throw down a tower as soon as possible. And I have no idea why it's lagging this horrendously. Give me 1 second to close out a program in the background. Alright, hopefully that works a little better. Close out that too. Okay, hopefully this runs a little bit smoother. Oh, I've got unit shadows on. Let's turn that off. While beautiful, I don't really need them. Okay. So, continuing on. You see here I'm devoting a lot of my SCVs to gas. I have 4 running right now. Probably going to peel off another 1 or 2. I'm throwing out my factory right now. I'm getting a Reaper for a little bit of harassment off the bat to try and force them into Marauders as much as possible. The more Reaper harassment you do with a Banshee harass build, the more they're going to go into Marauder to counter it, unless they're going to have some trouble fighting it off with just Marines. Now when he sees this first one come across, ooh, I think my SCV is not going to, yeah, it doesn't scout anything. He is going for 2 barracks, 1 with a reactor, 1 with a tech lab, researching concussive. This is a build that I see a lot of Terran players do, and generally it leads into a fast expand. We'll see what it looks like. Here my Reaper is about to jump up and start some harassment. Meanwhile, my factory is almost done, and I'm going to go into a starport as soon as possible here. I'm going to peel off 2 more CVs here in a moment, I believe, to put on the gas, because I'm low on gas for the build I want right now. I should have had 2 running the entire time. Now this Reaper's coming into his base. He's running all the SCVs back. So I'm preventing a little bit of mining here, not really that much. And I don't pick off that SCV. My bad, micro. Interesting idea to put the supply depot right there, I guess. Kind of blocks it off. That was a good idea by him. I couldn't get out, and I died. Though I did take quite a few seconds of mining off of him, and I didn't take any time off mining, so that really worked out better for me. Now I'm throwing down a tech lab here on this factory and throwing up another barracks. So if he scans me, he's gonna see this, you know, standard siege tank, barracks build. Here I'm throwing up a bunker. Like I said, the reason why I built my supply depots back in Terran vs. Terran, and this Terran vs. Terran, I believe the last one was random in that video. Anyway, the reason why I built them back is so that way I can fill bunkers at the front of the base and get extra range up the hill and not lose my supply depots. And really not lose the real estate that you can have with a, you know, a little bit of a concave up here on the hill shooting down. If you have supply depots there, you have to lower them, and you don't want your barracks there because it's not going to do anything. You know, it's just not as convenient. Now he did scan me, and he sees a very standard build, a 3 barracks, 1 factory build. And from what I've seen of him, I've seen 2 barracks, factory going up. So we both know that we're both going fairly standard builds. Now what he doesn't know is I started building a starport over here. I'm going to switch it over. Generally a Terran player really doesn't want to lose their mules, and we talked about this a minute ago in the last game that I was casting. They really don't want to lose their mules, so what they'll do is they'll use 1 scan and aim for near your command center and see as much information as they can. I'm going to use this to my advantage as much as possible. He did not see me building that I guess hidden, it wasn't that hidden, starport over there. So that's hopefully going to work out in my favor. I'm throwing down an engineering bay just in case he's going for some type of build like I am. Now he's moved up with 3 marauders, and it looks like about 12 marines. So he's going to push up my hill. I have 4 marauders and 8 marines, so he outmatches me a little bit here. But I have a Banshee that's about to finish, so I'm going to bring everything over here and start to fight him. Here in 1 second, when I realize how bad I am that I haven't noticed this. Alright, now I'm going to move up. He takes out 1 supply depot, and I'm going to engage him and use my Banshee to pick off as many marines as possible. And all of his marines are dead. I microed, killed off the marines, and now won the battle just with 1 Banshee. You saw how much of an advantage in units he had. 1 Banshee tips the entire scales of microed, because they just rip through marines like butter. So much damage. Half of marines' health in 1 shot. So I'm moving up to defend this gap now, and I've sent my Banshee across the map to see what type of harassment I can do. I'm thinking probably not going to get that much harassment in. He's probably going to be building an engineering bay and building towers, which he is. He's building an engineering bay. I cloak, see if I can take out a marine. He's running it away from me, so I say screw it, and I run over to his base and start picking off mules. Now you really want to aim for mules as fast as possible. They are the ones making the most money, obviously, and as much as you can, try and ignore the ones a medevac is healing in this case. So I've picked off quite a few SCVs here. I think about 8 of those 13 kills are SCVs, 9 now, 10, 11 kills of SCVs on 1 Banshee, probably a little bit more. And it's going to run out of energy. It's really outlived its usefulness. Well, lived its usefulness. And he does waste a scan trying to pick it off again, even though my energy failed. So that's really good news for me. I believe I just sent another Banshee across the map. Yeah, there it is. So he just scans. He scans again. This missile turret picks it up, sees me, takes me out. He's building another missile turret. Meanwhile, I'm rebuilding my ground army. It's about the same size as his right now. A little bit bigger actually, but he has 2 medvacs. Looks like he's swapping over to get more Vikings probably. Let's see. In this situation, you want to build more Vikings, and you want to build a Raven. You really, really want to build a Raven, because 1 Raven counters Banshees, especially if you have like 1 Viking. They really can't do anything about it. They have to roll up with Vikings of their own or have Marines take out the Raven. Plus a Raven drops down point defense drones, which are very, very solid versus pretty much all of Terran's units, especially Marauders and Vikings and Banshees. So here I've been upgrading. I haven't been lax while I was harassing, and I'm getting siege tech. Now this is the best way to do it, and you see I'm getting my own Raven so I can drop a point defense drone versus his army. Here I have a Banshee harassing this new starport, it looks like, and trying to run away before I get scanned and picked off. Didn't really manage to do very much damage there. I'm going to try and move around and see what I can pick off. I have an SCV just kind of chilling in his mineral line, trying to see where his towers were. I sent this up here and he never noticed it. So this Banshee, we're going to see how many it gets to pick off. And it gets 1 Marine and 1 SCV. Not quite as effective as the last Banshee, but providing its use, distraction. Here I have 2 siege tanks and a decent sized bio ball. Looks like 13 Marines? No, 13 Marines and 6 Marauders. Now they have stim and the siege tanks have siege mode. So I'm going to push here in a second because as my SCV runs around, I see he really doesn't have that much of an army compared to me. It's about the same size as far as the ground forces, but 2 siege tanks is really going to cause a lot of havoc. He, meanwhile, has finished his expansion. He's rolling it out. He's moving, looks like 7 SCVs down with it. So he's about to move out there. Here, I'm still building units as much as possible, rallying them across the map. I've finished Marines shields, which I always go when I'm going for this type of siege tank push, because it really enables more stimming, which is really what you need because you have no medvacs. With no medvacs, it makes it really rough. Now I'm going to siege up these 2 tanks and scan up his hill in case his army's coming, so I can see when it's coming. And I'm going to engage him, stimming. I push him back a little bit. It's a good idea for him to back up because my siege tanks are out of range, and he has the ability to heal, and I don't with my army. So that's really what you want to do. He's playing a really good game, backing it up. Now what he should do is he should have one of his medvacs, the one lowest on mana, probably this one right here. He should be scouting when my forces are going to move up, because if he attacked me right here while I was moving up the hill, he would have a very good chance to deal a lot of damage to me. Meanwhile, I'm going to move my siege tanks up just so that they're in range of one of the buildings, give it sight, and go to town. Now he's going to roll in with his army as much as possible. He does have a Raven, that's good, but he doesn't have point defense drone. He doesn't have enough energy. And I'm going to drop a point defense drone here in a second. Wait for it. Wait for it. There it is, point defense drone. So I'm picking off a lot of the Marauder shots that are coming across, and I win the game. So a lot of important things to note in this game in Terran vs. Terran. Banshee harassment is very, very powerful. You can use it to really cripple the mineral line of your opposing Terran player and force him into building missile turrets, which are pretty much useless outside of fending off Banshees and, I guess, medvac drops. But when he builds them so close to his mineral line, you can really just stim in from the side and take him out if you really wanted to, and make your escape a little bit easier. And then while you're keeping that Banshee harassment up, keep your tech up, move into something else. I also have an expansion in this game. He built an expansion. I really wasn't that far behind on macro. I was a little bit behind, but not that much behind on macro. And I had a bigger army with a more diverse army. Importantly, siege tanks and a Raven is going to beat medvacs and bioball pretty much every time. So as long as you are properly using your siege tanks, jumping them up the hill, scouting to make sure that you're not going to get picked off when you move up the hill, you're really going to have a lot of success with this strategy, which is Banshee harass into siege tank push.